Hello everybody, my name's Kanamanika, and welcome back to the unboxing, where we have this big box in front of the frame. If you can't tell, we have another premium Bandai item with us today, and one that I have been very excited for since it was first announced like last year, and then put up for pre-order near the end of last year, and then had its pre-order closed towards the start of this year. It doesn't really matter, because today, you already know what we're taking a look at. We're taking a look at the S.H.Figuarts One Piece Marco from Marineford. And as you can tell, it's in a premium Bandai shipper. This is one that did require me to buy it on Premium Bandai, the website, which was a little annoying. I made it work. It's an annoying website to have to order from sometimes. It's whatever. But yeah, as you can tell, it's in a standardly imaged but hilariously large Premium Bandai shipper, which the funny thing is they kept like the size of things the same for the most part. I think the only thing that might be different is like the Bandai logo size, like the Tamashii Nation logo size down there. But like the recycling symbol and the writing below it is pretty similarly sized. The barcode is pretty similarly sized. The S.H.Figuarts and Tamashii Web logos are similarly sized. So there's just this fucking wash of brown. I guess it makes sense. This is a shipper box. I think it's meant to, like, in some regions just ship out in this, but like it's whatever. So yeah, you've got all of that Marco Marineford. On the back side, you've got all of that, but in Japanese, so with the same barcode. That's pretty boring. So I think, why don't we just go ahead and get this out of the big old shipper box so that we can look at the nicer box, right? Right. Slice, bring it down the side, and then here we have, out of the box, the Marineford S.H.Figuarts Marco the Phoenix. Oh boy. And here it is in all of its glory, which is fucking insane. I haven't had a One Piece box that's this big. I know they've existed. There's like the two other big guys, I believe it's Kaido and Blackbeard. But this is my first time with this because I didn't go in on those because they seemed expensive for what they were. But this one is also pretty expensive in the West. It was like $200, but we're not going to think about that because it looks worth it somewhat more because it comes with a lot of accessories and the base figure seems pretty neat. We have this little slit in the corner which has that little bit of mapping detail, which is standard for the Lego One Piece line. But as you can tell at the top corner, it has the One Piece World Figure Coliseum 2025 logo. This is something that they do at like the One Piece Day event where all the figure companies are like, hey, let's put up a special figure and have people vote on which one's the coolest, though they all do get released. You may recognize it if you've been on the channel before, because the 2024 One Piece World Coliseum figure was that of Ace. That wonderful figure was them essentially going all out, making the best S.H.Figuarts they could, and now they're doing it again for Marco. Which is a surprising choice, but not an unwelcome one, because this figure does look pretty spectacular. Under that, we have the window, which shows us the main figure, who looks incredibly small in his package, as well as a bunch of his accessories, as well as the one Luffy face, which is nice that they show that. And then in front of him, printed on the plastic, is Marineford Marco, which is pretty nice. Then down here we have the S.H.Figuarts Marco from Marineford, designed in Japan, made in China. You've got your Toei sticker, your usual logos for One Piece, Tamashii Web, Tamashii Nations, and Bandai, as well as the Tamashii Nations like little sticker seal quality. You have your two images, which give you some nice promo shots of the figure itself. On the side of the package, again, it's pretty typical for the One Piece line, just made bigger. We have a bunch of examples of the different faceplates that Marco comes with, as well as the one for Luffy that this comes with. S.H.Figuarts Marco Marineford. On the other side, you get a little bit more window. S.H.Figuarts Marco Marineford. You get Marco in his Phoenix mode, kind of flapping about with the doom behind him, as well as that overall map design. On the bottom, you've got the same promo image of Marco in Phoenix mode from the top, just here, and elongated on a blue background, Marco Marineford. And on the top, you got a bit of map with the straw hat cutout for the window, which looks amazing, and that is where the S.H.Figuarts quote is placed. On the back then, you've got your usual S.H.Figuarts One Piece backdrop. So it's that gray background with your promo shots, the name of the figure, the nice little like hyper photoshopped promo shot, which shows also the faces down there, super action, super modeling, simple style and heroic action, your usual Bandai America sticker, and yeah, ages 15 and up, so if you are younger than that, if you're not an adult, get the fuck out of here. I think with that, it's time to get this figure out of the box, shall we? I think we shall. Let's go over to this side, slice that big piece of tape, that's a big chunky piece, and then open up the box and pull everything out. It does have an instruction manual, which we will get to, but here is everything that comes in the box. I'm moving it into my little side space because I don't think I have room for everything here on the table. But yes, you do get a full-on instruction manual folded into the hidden side of the package, which shows you how to use the main accessories, how to swap parts out for Phoenix mode, the instructions to do that, which I might actually show off because I want to. But there's a little bit more than that, because on the back, we have taped the display base, which is not actually a typical SHF display base. As you can tell, it has a bit of a marble finish, but we'll get to that here in a second. First off, let's get all this tape off of it and put that in my trash bin. So first off, you get this wonderful sort of plaque-like base with its marble finish on the ground, which outside of feeling pretty premium, it looks nice. It does feel like it fits the Marineford theming. It feels right, is what I'll say, I guess. Yeah, it looks cool. It feels right. And as you can see, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 portholes. I'm pretty sure they all get used when trying to hold up Marco in bird mode. You get 3 of these identical but fairly standard stand arms, which are nice and long. Yeah, otherwise they feel fairly standard for a Tamashii Nation style stand. Then in this baggie, you get 2 more stand pieces. This one, which is one strong piece with a sort of girdle on it, and your usual stand. And this smaller one, which seems like it'll interlink with it, it kind of holds it there, I guess, to create sort of like a truss to hold up Marco, which is actually pretty neat. Oh, it fell out. Anyways, and then from there, the final bag has a pair of little clamps, which, give me a second. Yeah, the final bag has this pair of clamps, which will go around the wings and attach to 2 of those pre-existing stands. So, yeah, that's that. A pretty elaborate stand setup, which I will get set up for the final photo here at the end. But first, I'm going to move everything off so that we can take a look at the actual accessories which come with the set, which there's an interesting lineup looking at it already. So let's get this down. Get this clown unboxed. A big layer of stuff. I can smell it. Got an interesting smell. It smells new. I don't know. It smells new. I don't know what to tell you. But yes, first off, I guess we'll take a look at the typical accessories. So we'll start off with hands and faces and the Luffy parts, and then go a little bit more extreme from there. So in terms of hands, you do get a fairly basic pair. You actually don't get too many hands. You get the fists on the figure, but then you get these open widespread hands, which do look fairly nice. Let me zoom in. Yeah, you do get these open spread out hands, which are nice and large and look nice. They have some nice texturing and some nice sculpting. Though they're fairly standard and aren't the nicest hands that you'll get out of the set, they do look pretty good. You get one sort of, I guess, like itching almost hand, one sort of like pointy hand with a sort of bent finger, which is a really interesting pose, which I do think is accurate to how Marco does it in the series. Again, it's in that nice color. It's nicely sculpted, nicely painted. A little bit of mold flashing on mine, but I can just scrape that off and we'll be good. Yeah, you see. But yeah, it does look nice. From there, you also get another cool hand, which is made out of a clear blue plastic, so you might want to be careful with this, but it is him holding up a blue flaming feather, which looks really cool. The way that his fingers sort of transition into that clear blue, and the feather itself kind of gets held there, even with a little bit of extra white paint. It has a very nice look, and the paint on the hand itself does look fairly clean. I don't think it's quite a perfect color match, but it's very close. The sheen is the main thing that's going to give it away when you are, I guess, comparing it with like the normal plastic hands. Alongside that, hands-wise, you do also get this pair, which has flames bursting out of it. I think the sculpting is fairly same, just mirrored. The flames are actually pretty different. But yeah, you can see on the inside you get some grippy hands, which have some nice flames on them. You turn it around, and it's like all flame, and it's honestly quite opaque in its sculpt, which doesn't look bad at all. And there's a little bit of like a whitewash on it. It is coming out as a little bit of a richer blue on camera, as of now, rather than that. Maybe I'll have to color grade at some point. Maybe I'll have to figure that out at some point. But we'll get there. As it is now, it looks nice, and I think it's surprisingly well done. From there, alongside those hands, you also get these fully flamed hands, which are again made out of that clear plastic rather than the previous flamed hands, which were 2 parts each. You had a little bit of like a normal plastic for the hand, and then the somewhat more clear blue plastic glued to it. This one is again all done up in the clear blue, and you get a pair of these as well for, I guess, like throwing one of his arms out. And they do look nice. I think this really emphasizes what makes this figure unique. While it does have flame effects similar to Ace, and like they're in blue, so I imagine you could use any blue flames, there is something really nice about the way that it all feathers out. Like, look at those feathers. They look very nice, and they flow very naturally with the flames. If I had any complaints about these hands, is that the paint on the hand itself does feel a little messy. It fits in fine. Like, I get it. I get what it's going for. Ooh. Oh, it's a plugged-in part. Oh, okay. Oh, it's a ball-jointed part. This is on a ball joint. It's a ball joint. It just got a little jammed, I guess, in production. This is on a ball joint. That's really cool. But yeah, this is on a ball joint, which is its own separate part, but this is also a clear part. Maybe they should have made this a not clear part, because the paint looks a little bit more messy here, a little bit more chalky than it does on the other hands that are like this, or the other hand that is like this, the feather hand. But it is fine enough. It is kind of meant to be bursting into flames and have that cleanish transition, so I guess it works. It's just not my favorite of the hands, I guess. From there, let's get into faces before we go full bird, I guess. So, as one of the faces, additional parts, you do get an extra hairpiece, which has a little bit of flame poking out of it. I'm pretty sure it's another separate piece alongside the hair. The hair does look nice in that nice cheesy yellow. I really like how that looks, but then of course the flame that goes over the eyes. I'm glad this isn't just one face part. You can use this with any of the Marco faces that you have. It just looks really, really cool, and I think it looks very nice to just have that one eye flaming upward, and it's very well sculpted. You obviously swap that out with the normal hair that is on the figure by default. From there, you get a couple of extra faces. You get 4 spare faces alongside the main one. Alongside the neutral main one, you also get this sort of smirking face, which does feel very Marco. I think it's very cheeky, very nice. The little bit of stubble below the chin is very neat. And I don't know, it's very simple. It has those cool, simple eyebrows, and I think it fits for Marco. We have this sort of jovial, laughing face, which it feels nice, especially as a character who isn't really going to be doing as many of the goofy faces. It's nice to have one that's a little bit more laid back, so that you can put this Marco in a variety of situations. This one feels very distinct from the other smiling face. From there, we get some more action-oriented faces. This sort of like teeth-gridded face for when he's in battle, which again looks very nice. Has a lot of the same attributes as the previous faces. Very well painted, very well sculpted. I should note that the open mouth, I do like the little wrinkles by the eyes and the mouth. I think that is very nice. This one's a lot more simple with just the white teeth, but it is very simply done, but it is very strongly done. It looks ripped straight out of the show and manga and whatnot. And then of course we have his shouting face, which has some nice sculpting to aid the line work, to make it feel a lot more expressive. And the open mouth again is painted perfectly. I think it looks amazing. From there, you also get, of course, Luffy parts. Everybody loves a Luffy part. You actually get 2 in this figure. Those being this sort of pointed finger, as well as this sweaty, deep in thought face. This is from when, around Wano time, I believe. I forget exactly when it is. Somewhere post-time skip. Luffy's trying to remember Marco, who Marco was, and remembers him as Pineapple Head. This is meant to go with your Wano Luffy, though, as per usual, it will work with any Luffy that you have. So that's pretty neat, that's pretty nice. And yeah, the same goes for the hand. But yeah, with all those faces out of the way, that does mean we have to do one little special thing. We need to go full Phoenix mode. Obviously, we had some flamey hands before, but he can go a little bit further. So, one of the main parts is you do get this back adapter, which has your 2 ball joints on either side. A little bit more rigid, a little bit less articulated, I think, for good reason, but the back seems clean enough. You'll be able to swap out the back, which I think I'll have to show off just because of what this figure is. But then the accessories get crazy, so I think I'm going to actually 1 times it. You know what? No, I'll 2 times it for a little bit. As part of the bird transformation, I don't think you need to use all these parts at once, but it is part of it. You do get a pair of new legs, the bird legs. They are fully sculpted in this nice blue with some really nice shading on it, actually. There's some nice variance between a lighter blue that nears on white and like a darker blue, which does look very good. This one is for the leg with the tuft, so you can see the tuft sort of floating about in the wind, which does look very nice. Some nice lines that go down the leg for the bird. And then, of course, you have the claws, which the claws themselves are in a nice clear plastic, which makes them look more like nails, which is very cool. And then the sculpting is also very nice, almost like lizard-like in the way that it's like ribbed and scaled almost. But that feels like it makes sense for a bird. You also get an alternate one on the other leg. Very similar, just without the pant leg that goes all the way down, or the pant leg bit that goes all the way down. It's just very similar, just a little bit simpler without that pant leg, and obviously tailored for the other side with all the articulation that these feet entail. And there, we also get this piece, which is meant to plug into his butt. It has some nice flaming work around it as well. A lot of clear plastic, which seems soft enough so it shouldn't break too easily. You got these 4 ball joint ports here. And of course, some nice flaming outward, which looks very, very neat. But from there, you get the big guns. You do get a nice pair of phoenix wings, which very, very pretty. Just as impressive as they are in the promos. They have a little bit of plastic protecting them because of paint rub. But you just remove that, and you get something super duper pretty. I hope they're lettered so that I can figure... Okay, no, this is the inside. Here's the inside of it, which is... It's certainly a rubbery plastic, but I think that's intentional so that it's pliable. But, like, look at that feather detail. Oh my god. It's so pretty. Jesus Christ. And the way it goes out into the gold at the tips, it's so nice. And then it feels weighty, too. This feels nice and heavy. I imagine the stand's going to have to hold it up pretty well, but just look at the way that the flames go up, like the bony ridge, and then the purple going into the darker blue, going into this lighter blue. Oh my god, it's so good. And you have a nice solid joint here at the arm, so that shouldn't be too bad. And the back has a lot more of that flappiness, I guess. Though I do like when even the feathers start to poke out of the flames. It's just so nicely done. This is what sold me on getting this figure. I wouldn't have done it if it weren't for these nice wings, I don't think. And then, of course, we've got the other wing. Very similar in style, very similar in structure. We'll go over the articulation of it when I do that later. But yes, you get another cover, and then you just have those nice wings. I'm not going to go as in-depth on this one, because the sculpting is different. I'm pretty sure they aren't just mirrored. If I look at it, let me actually gotta go. Yeah, these aren't just mirrored wings, so that's nice. It's nice that they are distinctly sculpted, so it feels a little bit more natural, but you do get 2, and they do stand there very nice. And of course, alongside that, you gotta have his little tails. So you have one, which kind of goes inward like this. These ones are in a lot more of a traditional, like, orangey flame, though I do like the white, the lighter, almost, like, yellowish white that slowly transitions down into the red, and, like, the nice little, like, almost, like, bead look that's, like, in there. If you take a close look, like, you can see there's these little dimples, which give it a really unique, rounded shape, and it's just so pretty. And then you get this one, which is a lot more curved inward, very similar. And then this one, which has just a simple curve, but again, is very nice. Very well done. Yeah, that's all the accessories, and you would hope you would get a lot of accessories for, what, $200? This is the most expensive One Piece figure I've ever gotten. Probably one of the most expensive action figures I've ever gotten, and it's insane, honestly. But I think I'm glad to have it, because it's just so cool. There's just so much that this figure does that is just so impressive and well done and cool. And that's just with the accessories. And we spent, like, what, 20 minutes on them? At least in the recording. You guys in the video will have seen less, but in the recording, it's been about 20 minutes. And most of that has been focused on getting the accessories out. But now it's time to take a look at the figure, which I hope is just as good. You get a little bit of plastic on top of him. You just gotta pull him out. He's nice and weighty and nice and chunky. Let's move all of the plastic to the side. Ooh. He feels better than Ace. He feels better than Ace, which I think is important. The biggest flaw with Ace was that some of his hand feel, some of his joint tolerances were not great. I imagine that won't necessarily be solved in the upcoming Marineford Ace, which is coming out very soon, but this figure, presumably by this, I'm pretty sure it's by the same designer, I'd have to check, but I'm pretty sure it is using a lot of the Ace's tricks, but it does feel a lot nicer, I'll say, right out of the box. The limbs just feel so much nicer, feel so much more, like, well-toleranced, feel like he isn't gonna flop on me, which I think is important for someone who's gonna have a lot of heavy stuff piled on top of him here in a bit. But, yeah, let's take a nice rounded look. As you can see, he's got his jacket flowing outwards. It pokes up a little bit for the sake of the back hole. But, yeah, as you can see, he looks fairly nice. There's a little bit of discontinuity between the jacket and the shoulder part, which is fair enough, I think. But it will be a little bit noticeable. I do like the white paint on the jacket, though, which it looks good. That's interesting. The back of the neck does have a little bit of a gap. I imagine that's for articulation's sake. Yeah, that's for articulation's sake. We'll get there. It is a little annoying, but it's not that bad. But yeah, let's get a closer look, because he does look good from afar. So let's see how he looks up close. Ankles are having a little bit of a tough time getting him up, but he's going to be on a stand for basically his entire life anyways, just because of how I plan to display him. So starting off with the head, he doesn't have the most flattering face, but it is accurate to Marco. He's got just the tuft of hair at the top with baldness on the sides. It does leave a little bit of a seam for the faces, which is a little annoying, but it's not the worst thing in the world. It doesn't look too bad. Maybe they could have hidden it better somehow, but I'm not really sure how. I do like the ear sculpting. It's pretty intricate, all things considered. Yeah, this board face is okay. I don't think it's going to be the face I keep on him, but it does look nice. I like the stubble as well. His neck is very thick. And of course, we have this little gap. Thankfully, it's in the back, so it's not too visible, but he has a very thick neck. Fairly nicely sculpted. Maybe a little bit of extra shading would have been nice. I should be demanding everything given how expensive this figure is. But yeah, maybe a bit of shading would have been nice. And then we get down to the torso, which looks very good. The simple shaping of his sort of white beard-esque logo with the cross and the little beard looks very good, and it's fairly well split up, and it doesn't break itself up too much thanks to the articulation. We'll get there. But yeah, it doesn't break itself up that bad. This lower bit will probably break up more than others, but it's something you get used to. Though, the jacket does flow very nicely with the somewhat light but good enough white paint that goes down the sides, and the black looks perfect and sharp. Plus the ab sculpts and like the musculature sculpts feels not hyper exaggerated, but it feels fitting for Marco from what I remember of him in the manga. Then we have the shoulders, which has a fairly similar look to other jacketed characters from Figuarts. You have this main shoulder part, which is meant to keep continuity with the jacket. Then you have your weird little swivel, which kind of acts as like the forward-backward, though this one has the forward-backward more standardly placed, I imagine, because of the way that it works. Going down into the nice folds of the jacket, which is fairly natural, not too overbearing, but it does look nice. And the joint doesn't look too bad. You can kind of see it, but it's not the worst. It fits in with the folds fairly fine. And then you get your wrist, which looks nice and gets you your hand that you need. I would have liked a little bit of extra shade. There's like a little bit there, I think, but I would have liked a little more shading on the sash. Though it does have a nice flow backwards this way, which I think will fit in with the flames fairly well. And we have the little other bit of the sash, which is very intricately painted. That looks very nice. That would have been very difficult, I imagine, to do, and I'm glad that they went through the effort to do it on both sides. It looks amazing. It looks great. The pants, again, maybe a little bit of extra blue wash would have been nice, but it doesn't look that bad. I like the seam that goes down the side, as much as there's a little bit of mold lininess there. And these upper tufts are interesting, like floating pieces, which is interesting. I'll have to see how that goes. But the kneecaps aren't too visible. I do like the way that it bunches up around the crotch. That's very nice. And of course, they get cut off to here. where this has some very nice sculpting and paintwork. The nice ribs that go down the legs to represent his like sort of shoes, his sandals, whatever, which do look very good. The nice sort of soles, which are a lot more shoe-like. You do kind of prominently see that joint, but otherwise, it doesn't feel too cut up, and especially on this leg, it looks very nice, because like, look at how those tassels are shaded and painted. They look so good. It looks so good. It's such a well-done detail. I think it's very, very, very nice. But yeah, he does look very good, but given the price, you would hope so. The question now becomes, how does he pose? Let's see how he poses in base form, and then we'll have to transform him, which is going to be one of the first times I do something this intricate on like a Figuarts video, whatever. So the neck is on a ball joint at the base, dumbbell joint at the neck, which allows it to tilt side to side fairly well, look down, okay, looks up pretty stellarly, which you would hope for a flying character. And then you use this for your downward. So you can look down like that, look up like that, tilt side to side, and of course you get a full swivel, which you're mainly going to be using this upper joint for, because this is a little bit too tight for that. You do get some butterfly out of this joint, just because of the way it works, but not a ton, unfortunately. It's okay. And then back, you don't get a ton either. The jacket's kind of getting in the way, but it's whatever. It can go up about that far. It looks a little awkward due to the way this particular sculpting works, but it works fine. And of course, you do get a full rotation, which is nice. You do get a swivel here, because this is kind of where the normal rotation's meant to be. You also get a swivel at the bicep, which looks nice. A double jointed elbow, which goes basically all the way in, and then a swivel hinge swivel at each wrist, which is as expected for a S.H.Figuarts. It's a little large, but again, as expected. You have a ball joint at the torso. You have sort of 3-ish splits at the torso as well as a waist, so you do get a separate torso, which is able to go back, able to go forward, able to tilt side to side a little bit, though the jacket does get in the way. It's a fairly tight sculpt. I can swivel a little bit there. You have a little bit more crunch there, which crunches in very nicely, actually. Crunches back fairly nicely there, though most of your crunch is actually coming from the waist ball joint, which is able to arc back that far in total, arc back forward that far in total, which is very good. Tilt side to side fairly nicely, though stuff does get in the way. And you get a little bit of swivel there. Swivel is going to be your hardest joint because there's just stuff getting in the way of it, but that's fine. You do get a ball joint at the little sash that mostly acts as a swivel. These are attached, but not that, and the sash itself is a floating piece, so you can have it lift up and down however you would like. Hips are on standard joints, so it's able to kick forward about that far, back pretty dang far, because it doesn't have a ton of butt sculpt, which is fairly nice, and out about that far. You will need to move the sash to get that leg up, but it's able to go up incredibly nicely. You get a thigh swivel, as expected. It's on a ball joint, so it's able to work however you would like. Double jointed knees, thankfully, which isn't a given on the One Piece line, which goes up basically all the way. The pant cuff does stop it a little bit, but it gets as far as you would want. There is a boot cut-ish swivel, just on account of the way that the legs work. You do then get I think you do get another swivel there, though it's a little bit more limited. You can go forward with the foot that far, backward with the foot that far, and ankle tilt, and a toe bend. So yeah, he moves very well, all things considered, even in this base form. So you can get a lot of fun out of him like this, though it's not the only way you're going to leave him. It's nice that this is included. I'm glad that you do get the base figure of Marco, so that for any Marco stands, you get basically everything you would want out of a Marco outside of his fully transformed state, which would require an entirely different figure anyways. Let's be honest with ourselves. But yeah, this base Marco is very good, and I would recommend him if he was like a standard release, because if it was just this and some flame effects, he would be like $90. But where a lot of the budget is coming in is from all the extras. So I feel like I would be lying to you if I didn't actually use those. So let's hit a transformation montage. And here we have the full bird mode Marco setup, and it's a lot. As a note, I found this stand is a little bit confusing to get up there, and the back feathered wings are also a little awkward to get in. It's clear enough, I think. But man, this display is nice once you get it all together. But yeah, you're essentially supposed to use those two on the crotch girdle. I kind of wish it was a firmer connection, but it works fine enough. I think I have it right. Oh, there's more support you can do. You can do more support. I should do that, actually. The wing has an extra hole, I think. Where is that? There's an extra hole in the butt. Because you get an extra stand arm, which I assumed was just to have as extra, but... Okay, I think I finally have it all the way there, and yeah, this is impressive. Oh my god, yeah, I did finally use that back stand arm. That is giving it the final bit of support it really needs. Because these ones are fairly light. They don't clasp on very tightly. They do just kind of sit there, but it does help to, I guess, balance the weight on the sides, just to make sure he doesn't tilt over all that much. Because the only solid connection point he has is the one that goes into the, I guess, flaming setup back there. So yeah, that's pretty neat. Yeah, let's get a nice... I mean, I already kind of took a close look at all of it, so now it's just looking at it all together, and it's just so nice. If anything, I wish this piece of the stand was a little bit more of a solid connection. As it is, it just kind of rests there, which isn't the worst, but I kind of wish it was like solidly plugged in there as a piece of support that you could like adjust accordingly, almost more like the action bases you get out of like a Master Grade Gundam or something. But as it is now, it works fine. I guess articulation-wise, most of the torso is not affected. You do get your I guess boot cut still, but then the ankles move forward about that far, backward about that far. So yeah, forward and back. They do still tilt. That's very tight on that tilt, and you're not really going to be using it anyways because this guy's going to be up in the air. And then you get some bends. You do get a toe bend that bends forward rather than backward, and then each toe has a hinge that goes outward, and then the back toe also has a hinge. So he can do any bird claw poses you want. I guess for the shoulders, I should detach this so that I can get a good look. The torso does like to flap forward because it is very heavy. You do get a ball joint still in there, so it can flap about, but then this is all on bendy wire, so it might damage it a little bit. It seems I can go in that forward. I'm going to be very careful with it, though. Previous Bandai bendy wire hasn't been the greatest thing in the world, and of course, as you can see, it's already tilting a little bit, so whenever you do get that posed, you are going to want it a little bit more adjusted. The stand is thankfully adjustable, though the connections into the base aren't great. It's not any better than like a normal action base, but yeah. The stand does work, and it creates an incredibly impressive display, which ultimately, I guess I recommend. It's hard to fully quantify because it is just so pretty. It's really, really, really nice. I'm not sure I would recommend it at the premium Bandai America price, because that was like $220, and even that seems a bit fucking pricey for what this is. Especially if you're not a big One Piece fan. This is very much, I would argue, character-wise, fairly skippable. It's nice that he's part of the Marineford collection. It's nice that he is in this group. It's nice that we have a figure of him that is this nice, but I don't know, it's a bit pricey for the Western asking price. Though, if you can get it for what the Japanese sellers were getting it for, that feels a lot more fair, because I'm pretty sure there it's like $130, which is honestly a bit of a steal, because this is such a nice piece. It's so pretty, the way that the wings just flare out and have this natural billowing look. It is a mastery of sculpting. It is a mastery of everything. And it's impressive that it poses at all, even if it isn't as good of a poser as like Ace is. This is one of the most impressive things in my collection. And I, as a big One Piece fan who's also a big action figure fan, I'm glad to have it. I'm glad that this managed to make its way into my collection. I'm glad that I was lucky enough to be able to add it to my collection. And it's just so nice. So yeah, a brief addendum. Articulation-wise, I forgot to cover the back wings. This is on a bit of a swivel, though. It's going to be stopped by this. And I believe there's also a ball joint in there, though, again, it's going to be hampered by being attached to the stand. You're going to want to be careful with that. And then each of these are on ball joints, which are fairly subtle. They allow for swivels and hinges and whatnot, but there are going to be very subtle adjustments as you work around the stand arm that they're on. But yeah, it looks nice. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little video. I know this is a figure that not everybody's going to be able to get their hands on, so I'm glad to be able to film it for you, even if you aren't able to own it yourself. I hope I was able to at least show it off enough to make you feel, I guess, like you've been able to experience this wonderful piece of art, even if it's far too expensive for you to own. I hope that I was able to do that for you. If you did enjoy the video, leave a like on it. It's always greatly appreciated, and especially for videos that are this expensive. It's always appreciated to get a little bit more reach to make it so that my contribution to, I guess, the internet content sphere was a little bit more worth it. Also, leave a comment, leaving any of your thoughts on this figure, on One Piece, on whatever. I love to hear your thoughts, your feedback. Be sure to check out the channel for previous videos. I've gone over a fair few previous S.H.Figuarts One Piece figures, and be sure to subscribe for more. I've got a lot more, especially in this Marineford collection, coming, so you won't want to miss out. So be sure to subscribe so you know when new videos like that release. Until next time, I hope to see you around. Bye-bye!